welcome back everybody. This is Mog once more on Mog's Cast, playing some more Kerbal Space Program. This time we're launching up the Schmemini 1, and we're going to be doing a rendezvous up in Kerbal orbit. Just something pretty standard at this point. This will be our first rendezvous of this career mode. So why don't we get this underway with Dr. Prohibitorium, Captain King Banshee, and Kerbonaut. Oh, I can't see it. Fraps is blocking it. It is something. Kerbonaut, who did we send? I forgot. This wasn't recorded right after the last one. Either way, my apologies. You guys can probably see that, no problem, I would imagine. I just don't know if there's... Actually, I can switch views. I can switch between Kerbals, right? Oh, it doesn't tell me who it is. Unfortunate. Where am I looking? Where am I looking? Can I get out of... There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing launched up, because we're going to be going and doing a rendezvous up in Kerbal orbit. So 3, 2, 1, and launch. Hopefully this isn't too loud. It's a little loud in my ears, but I think it keeps a good balance on the recorded video. I hope. If that's not the case, let me know, because I'm still doing guesswork kind of stuff. I'm not no professional studio, anything like that. So all your help is appreciated. But we've got our solid fuel boosters going. Apparently there's some new settings we can do with these. Like you can pick how high you want the thrust and things like that, so you can actually make them last longer by providing less thrust and things like that. So that's kind of cool. You can limit your solid fuel. So it provides a little bit more functionality to them, I suppose. You can do long, prolonged, like short or like weak burns and all that. It's kind of cool. Anyway, those are about up. So let's kick it up to full throttle on the main engines and boost those off. And we're still cruising up. Now we are losing a little bit of speed here, but that'll even out as we get to a bit less weight, I hope. And then we'll be promptly ditching these engines. So I guess this is going to be another rocket where we're going to be launching it up pretty high, straight up into the air before we do much in the way of changing anything. So we just lost a few engine speeds, so let's kick those off. Our engines are actually still lifting us, increasing speed slowly, but we are gaining speed, so that's good. Our thrust to weight ratio isn't terrible. We're actually accelerating. So why don't we, I'm going to kick it up into one time warp, double physical time warp, and actually just get this thing cranking. We're at about 10k. We're still not 200 meters a second. That's really where you want to be fuel efficient. So we're going to be wasting more fuel than we should be on this trajectory because we don't have the big Atlas engines. We have the little guys, whatever those ones are called. I've forgotten at this point. Anyway, we're getting up there in speed. I'm going to kick over at about 20,000 kilometers or 20,000 meters. So right about here is where I'm going to start going over, and I do have my time warp off. Okay, we're good. So we're just moving down a little ways. I'm just going to kind of angle it, and we're going to try to do this. I'm going to try to get this up to a little bit higher orbit so that the next one that we launch can just save some fuel by keeping it to a tighter orbit to catch up on it, if that's going to be the case. So that's kind of what I'm planning here in this mission. So why don't we, you kind of get the gist here. Should I? No, I think I'm going to go through the first launch, then I'll cut through the next one. I'm just trying to save time on these videos. I know that this hasn't been too long in you know, recording session so far, but you know what I mean. I probably just said a whole bunch, didn't I? Oh, what am I doing? Tipping too far over. We're going to keep going straight up for a little ways. We definitely need to gain a bit more speed before we're going to be in orbit, a stable orbit. So I'm going to kick us up just a hair. Put us a little higher, right there. I'm going to turn off our time warp and let us just stabilize a bit. Bring our trajectory up. Let's take a look out here, shall we? What are we at, about 65? Okay, so we're getting close to breaking through. Still have a few drop tanks to go. And quite a bit of fuel, actually. Overall, the Delta V left in this thing is probably pretty good. What are we at now, I wonder? About 82. Let's go up for about 100. Oh, kick those off. They didn't seem like they were out of fuel, but it wasn't firing. The fuel gauge still showed them having something. I'm going to tilt over, and we're going to go along the horizon now. Start pushing this out a bit further. So I'm going to bring this menu up so we can kind of keep an eye on things. And there we go. We have our music, so we are officially in space. As far as KSP is concerned, we are officially in space. I need about another 1,300 meters a second Delta V, which I hope I'll have, to make a stable orbit. At about 90k, and I want to just keep pushing this out because the engine we have isn't generating thrust too fast. So we're going to actually be, I'm going to angle up a little bit. Try to keep our retrograde marker high on the horizon. Or a bit above the horizon at least. How about some physical time warp? Let's get this moving. Looks like SAS is tweaking just a hair. I'm going to turn on fine controls, precision controls with the cap locks button to hopefully make that dampen a bit. About 100 we're at. And we're not pushing too terribly fast, but it'll get faster. The thrust, we're actually gaining speed faster than we were previously because the tank is about half empty. One of these is pretty much empty. And straining the second one, so we have a lot less weight to carry around. So here we go, we keep going. About 117, I'm gonna wait. I wanted to get to about 125, so this is looking good. I am gonna cut it right there. And we're gonna come up here, set up a maneuver node, and figure out how much we're gonna need to burn to actually make a stable orbit. It's asking for about 1 minute and 5 seconds, 678 delta V, and we're at about 1 minute, so we have time to pull it off. So this is gonna make it, because I haven't actually tested this. I'm excited. I thought it would work, but I had that inkling in the back of my head, like maybe the thrust to weight's gonna be a little too high, or or too low, I should say, and we might not actually make it. But it looks like we're gonna do it just fine. So we're gonna kick our engines on now at about T-minus 30 seconds and get this thing moving. We might run out of fuel first, but I think we'll have a higher thrust-to-weight ratio after we get to the next engine. I certainly think we will. Same engine pushing the less weight, so absolutely. So it shouldn't decrease our time. In fact, it should increase how quickly we'll get there, if we even need it. Barely. There we go. We're into our transit stage and final basically trimming out of the orbit with this stage, and we still have another stage beyond this that'll actually push out even further. Oh, almost missed it. I'm trying to keep it right on point, but we went over just a hair, but that's okay. We are in a stable about 125 meter orbit. Okay, that one goes up to about almost 150, but that's fine. So the crew here, and oh, I guess we are going to get to launch up 3 other Kerbals, so I'm going to pick a few of those, and I'll meet you back on the launch pad. Get ready to launch up for this for the rendezvous. Kick on our lights though first, just so that we're kind of ready. Okay, we are back here on the launch pad. We've got Ace Pilot Alex, Kerbonaut Stanley. We've got Kerbonaut Levi here is where I can read this one because I can't read it, but I read it before we launched the mission. So that's who's going to be launching up in this other Schmemini 1 rocket, the second one, and going to be going up for a rendezvous with the first. So let's target this one, shall we? And take a look, because we'd be playing catch-up, which is fine, but I think we can actually make it a little bit closer. Oh, but we're going to be launching at night. This could be interesting. Why don't we start right about here? I think that should be good. Maybe. I'm going to wait a little bit further, actually. I'm going to wait until it's about there. So it should pass us by pretty quick, but I'm going to try to see what I can do about meeting it there. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and get launched up then. So 3, 2, 1, and launch. And there we have it, liftoff, folks. Engines are cruising. I'm going to kick back our throttle on our mains. Let the solids do their work without lowering our fuel reserves quite as much. And why don't we go ahead and fast forward this. I'm not going to put you guys through the whole launch on this one, actually. I'm going to cut until we get closer up into orbit, I think. Well, I'll get past the first few stages of this. Those are the tricky parts. And we're not going to do anything else other than rendezvous. So I think I'll give you guys a little bit more show here. If that's the kind of thing you guys don't want, just throw it out there. Just saying. Okay, kicking off those engines, let's crank up to full throttle and get moving. So about 125 meters a second and climbing at about 5 kilometers above the surface mark. And we just dropped those directly over the launch pad. Hope mission control can handle it. Our bad. Okay, first engine burnout, let's kick those off. And we'll be getting that second one pretty quick here. I'm going to turn on physical time warp. This time it's a bit more stable with this bit. If you caught when I was in physical time warp earlier on this launch, those solid rocket boosters were actually tilting. They came in a bit. So I turned that off because they seem to be not quite as stable. These tanks, on the other hand, look fine. About 13, 14 kilometers up, and we're still cranking fast. Getting up toward the 300 meters a second mark, and it looks like those do break out early. I wonder why that is. Interesting. Let's start tilting over, shall we? Since we're at about the 20K mark, I'm going to tilt over about right here and let that cruise itself out. Now we are on physical time warp, so the SAS is having a little bit of trouble settling with everything sometimes. But it seems to actually do its job fairly well once it gets set. So yep, it has passed us by. We are definitely cranking up our apo-apps, that's for certain. We're going to be going for about 100 kilometer apo-apps is what I'm aiming for here at this point. It's going to be the idea. So up, we have it in the 70 range, that's cool. I'm going to wait until it gets to closer to 85-ish. Alright, cut the engines, and we're going to tilt down toward the horizon and start burning the horizon to push out our apo-apps so that we're not encroaching on it so dang quickly. There we go, let's gain some speed. Oh, those ones burnt out. Why are they burning out early? It looks like they're out of fuel. That's so odd to me. Okay, let's reorient our nav ball, make controlling a little easier. We're still on physical time warp, that's fine. We can handle it. It just makes things a little bit more wonky. So pushing this out, we're still at about 88, 89-ish kilometers, but the further we can get that out, the better this is going to be for our final burn. And that's actually coming down pretty quick, so I'm going to tilt us up, bring push our apo-apps out a little ways, so that we don't reach it just yet. Tilt that up a bit higher. Come on now, apo-apps, you come back and keep moving out there. You still got a little ways to go. So we're climbing there, pushing out our initial arc trajectory, make it a bit easier. The further these are apart, the easier it's going to be to make our burn at the end. And we're at about 100K, so let's actually we can go a little further. Make it official, make it solid over 100 kilometers up. Okay, let's turn off time warp at this point, and let's get this burn moving. Oh, we need to start that burn like immediately. Let's move it down. Go, 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 go. Alright, here we are. Now we burnt a little bit late for what we're going to be needing. This is actually off quite a ways. But, for what we needed, it asked for about 30 seconds worth of burn last time, so I'm assuming it'd be close to that this time. So let's get back on that node and keep burning. So I think we just made it in time, though. That was a quicker to burn time because of what we had to do with the shorter orbit, and because I was just not paying as much attention, I'll be honest. Alright, this tank should be getting close to empty, and I need to investigate why those other tanks were seeming like they emptied sooner than they should have. That seems odd to me. I don't want to be kicking out extra fuel if I don't need to, you know? Let's get back on that mark. There it is. We should be closing in on getting a solid orbit here. We sure are. So let's see if we can watch this happen. Yep, looks like we are out of fuel. Kick that off, turn on this one, and we'll zoom back out, and we can watch this ascend. There it is, and let's call that good. We went a little too far, I think. 95, so we'll go back to the 95, and we'll bring this in a little bit since we went a little high out there, so it'd be hard to catch up. Bring this in. 105, is that what that was? Looked like 84, we don't want that. We'll go about there. 100 by whatever. So cool, I'm gonna get that all set up, and we'll set up I'll get set up for a rendezvous and let you guys know when we get back to that point, or I'll show it to you. Okay, so we are back. I do have a node all set up for our rendezvous. We'll be coming in at about almost a 9-kilometer separation, which is next to nothing, so that's fine. It's about 1 second burn. We only need 29.3 meters a second, so 1 second full throttle burn, which is not what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a set, nice, easy, low throttle burn for extended more than 1 second, obviously. So let's keep moving here. I know I can't time warp too fast at this speed, or at this height, so we're just cruising along to our point here. We need about 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, I'm going to slow it down, and 1 minute to go. I know we're off our mark on the nav ball too, so I'm going to take into account and move a little bit. Okay, so we are back on track. I am going to go ahead and start this burn. Very low throttle. So just slowly cranking that over. Right there, we want to be at about 136-ish and a little, so how about right there? That looks pretty solid, pretty close to what we have. I'm going to try to finish off this burn just a hair. There we go. That looks real close. So let's see what our actual difference is. Somewhere between 169 and 9.1. It's going to be 9.1 because that's just the way it is. 9.1 kilometers. Okay, cool. So we're coming in for our orbit. Let's go ahead and fast forward to it, shall we? And once we get to that point, I'll be evening out our speed with our target, our relative velocity, so that we can actually come in for a dock. So we'll be switching between these two. I should really do a quick save, shouldn't I? Okay, so as we get closer, I'm going to zoom in real quick, take a look at our ships, do a quick save. Okay, F4 by the way. If you're playing and curious how to do a quick save, it's F4. And then holding down F9 or F10, one of the two. You have to hold it so you can tap them and see what they do. And it'll pop up a message. But you hold it to reload your last quick save. Anyway, unimportant. This is our retrograde away from these guys, so we need... No, we want to point to the green. That's our... Isn't it? That's our prograde. Is that correct? Okay, we're going to find out. Oh right, God, it's been so long since I've actually done one of these docking missions. It's kind of tricky, to be completely honest. Why don't we turn this? We're gonna be facing and trying to get our trajectory a little closer. Now I don't have all the things from MechJeb that kind of told me my relative velocity, my closest approach distance, and all that. So I'm kind of doing this with just what the map tells me. And it looks like we're going to be making a smart move here. So let's zoom on in a bit further. See how close we get. 4, 3. We can almost get to 2, looks like. Yep. Maybe 1 kilometer. Yeah, it looks like we're going to come in for closer to 1 kilometer. Let's spin around and get ready to burn off this little bit of... Actually, I'm going to detach that. Get rid of it. We don't need it anymore. We're coming in for a dock. So let's do this. We flung off our engine there. We really didn't need it. Let's see how close we just can get before it actually stops decreasing distance and actually starts increasing again. Then we'll we'll actually use our engines to even ourselves out. Looking like we're about to hit that point, so let's even ourselves out. Alright, so we're going to be staying relatively close for quite a while now. Boop. There we go. That's fine. Now, I need to switch over to them, open up their docking port. So let's switch over. I'm going to leave them with their big tank for the moment. Just, you never know. And we might as well. There's no reason to kick it off until we, you know, come down for a landing. So that one's port's open. Its lights are on. Let's switch back. Not to this part. We want this part. Let's open up your shield. Go into a chase cam to make it easier on our camera and our ability to pilot this thing. Cool. Let's rotate around and take a look at our target. If I can find it. I did deselect it. There it is. The Schmemini 1. So that's where we're heading. Right over to those guys. So why don't we use our engines? We're still going to be using those. We're not going to switch to our RCS just yet. Let's turn back on SAS though for the moment. Okay. There's that. Let's zoom on in here. So this is basically just how you do Rendezvous. You just set up your orbits to be relatively close. Stay closer to the inside, because you'll be going faster. You'll catch up on it if it's ahead of you in its orbit. You just go into a tighter orbit, and you'll speed up. If you need to slow down to let something catch up with you, you just go out a little further than it. It's really all it comes down to. You just kind of whittle it down, have it targeted, and the map will tell you how close you'll be coming. And once you get in close, you just do these little adjustments. And that's it. It's really... I find it quite relaxing. I enjoy this part of the game, and I really haven't been able to do it a whole lot lately. So I've turned on our RCS, I've turned on our translation control. I'm also using SAS to keep us pointing in the same orientation. But we're gonna be working our way toward the docking clamp here. I'm gonna turn on time warp and get moving in there. See how close we can get. Looks like we're about to pass it, so let's bring ourselves back. I'm gonna turn off the precision controls with this for these big maneuvers. Let's push forward and up a little ways, see where that puts us. So I think we're gonna get real close. We're not gonna collide, but we're definitely gonna get very close. So there we are. We're nice and close in here. Let's go out a little ways, slow ourselves down, come down a bit, and out. And now we're gonna rotate, get ourselves ready for this rendezvous docking. Okay, so let's try to orient ourselves in the same position, roughly. Let's keep it right there. Turn back on RCS, turn on translation mode, bring ourselves in, and slow ourselves down from going away. So we're about to pass. I'm going to turn off these lights. We don't need them all. A little bit higher contrast now. Hopefully you guys can see. I know it gets pretty dark. Okay, so we're pretty well even. I'm going to slow ourselves from dropping. So there we have that. And we're looking like we're almost right on target. I'm going to turn back on precision controls for this. Okay, so I think this is going to do it. Turn off RCS, turn off SAS, leave rotation controls alone, and we have docked, guys. We've definitely docked them together. This is cool. They can actually be like, awesome. We fucking met in space. First time in the United Kerbal Industries file, I suppose, since this is kind of a prequel. Might as well test our systems while we're up here. Let's extend out some docking, or some solar panels here. Might as well, right? Take some readings. It's probably stuff we've already got, but oh, that's mono propellant. That's not what I was thinking it was. The little testing lab. We've got a few here we can kick out. Where are they on this guy? Right there. Right there. There's another one. Zoom out a bit, push that, and I think you got one more on this craft. Yep, right there. So cool. We've done our part for the Kerbal Space Program in this mission with our first successful rendezvous in this season, and effectively, since it's a prequel season, the entire United Kerbal Industries thing, whatever you want to call it. Let's do some spins. And then we're going to detach, and we're going to be coming back to the planet, to the surface. Okay, everybody, so we just detached from the rendezvous craft. It's over this direction. It still has its big tanks. We're going to use those to actually deorbit, or use this, not those, just one of them. But we're going to be using that to deorbit and actually head back down to the surface. So we don't have to carry this whole craft down. We've only prepared to bring back the main capsule with the crew. The rest of it's going to get ditched. But we're going to take a look, and I think I want to do it on the light side, so we can put it in an ocean easily. I know what I'm watching for. So fast forwarding here, the ship should be still pretty close, but I don't think they'll collide. I should be watching though, shouldn't I? Probably the safer thing. Okay, so why don't we start right here, and we'll start putting them down to the ocean. So alright, let's flip around to go retrograde. And we'll get this down into the ocean. Nice and easy. Let's watch from this screen. We should see our trajectory line actually shrink a bit. So let's bring it on in. I think I'm pretty much just going to shoot for this to be hitting right in this direction. And that should actually slow us down enough, I would think, to land us in the ocean. Well, I'll go a little more since we do have some space to work this. So how about this? We'll aim for our trajectory to hit right in here. That should put us out in the ocean pretty far. So there's that. Let's switch to this one and do the same. Try to get these ones down at about the same time. So there's that. Let's turn on SAS and watch these ones shrink too. Right about there. That seemed pretty even. They probably won't be landing side by side, but they'll be close. Why don't we fast forward a bit? How far is the other one away, actually? 5 kilometers. Can I still switch? I can't switch between them, so In the interest of making this simple and not losing anything, I'm going to go ahead and detach this from the rest of the engines. I'm going to detach the pod and release the parachute. So there goes that. Let's put ourselves on retrograde, and that way we shouldn't collide. It should be far enough away with the flinging action. We should come down just fine with our parachutes ready to go. So I'm going to try to switch. No luck. Okay, let's go back to the Space Center and switch from there. Okay, we are back in the other Gemini, Schmemini craft, and with Dr. Prohibitorium, Captain King Banshee, and Kerbonaut R something, because I can't read your name. I'm going to detach this, and we're pretty much just going to use, since the other one's already deployed, we don't really have to deploy this one just yet. So I'm just going to kind of let it ride through the atmosphere and see what happens. And we'll check on the other one once we get down too, but it shouldn't be too far away from us at this point. Looks like, yeah, it's about 10 kilometers above us. It being lighter craft probably isn't catching the atmosphere the same way that ours is. I guess actually we aren't to the atmosphere just yet. We're just entering it now. Maybe it's the parachutes providing extra drag for whatever reason. The game might be calculating it differently, or the trajectory of the disconnection, I suppose, might have actually created that much distance. Either way, we're coming in for a landing here pretty quick. So you can kind of watch these lines start to shrink here as we're entering the atmosphere, but we should get deposited right out here in this ocean, I would imagine. So why don't we, since we're on time warp, I'm just going to kick off that back piece, release our parachutes, and let these things come on in for a landing. There we go, we're starting to see that re-entry effects. Will we see it on the other one as it goes by? Doesn't look like it. What happened? Did it disappear? Oh, I hope it didn't separate too far. I forgot about that portion. Actually, it should maintain the other one. It just might not show it on the radar. Both of these should be okay. No items nearby to focus on, but that's fine. We're coming down. We definitely have our 3 parachutes should be holding the load here. And I'm going to turn down our time warp so that we don't snap these parts as they come down. Because you know how Kerbal Space Program can be a little twitchy. So should be deploying any second here. There they go, and everything held together. So this one's going to come in for a landing, and then we're going to switch and check on the other one after we recover this craft. It's going slow enough. 7 meters a second. This is full time warp, guys. It's just crawling. Here we go, coming in though. And we have touchdown. And nothing exploded. So our Kerbals survived. So let's recover this one. That first recovery got us about 77 science for just recovering the vessel, so that's kind of cool. A bit there. Or no, that didn't earn us next to nothing. That's how much we have total. My misunderstanding. Let's take a look at this Space Center then and find that other one that just touched down, or should be touching down soon. I see no other ships. Oh no. Did they all die? Something happened and they all got removed. Yep, we don't have anybody else. So the other craft magically disappeared in the Bermuda Circle. I don't know what this thing is actually called. But oh well. Bug in the game, I suppose. But thanks for watching, guys. Our first successful rendezvous in space in this campaign. So until next time, we'll see you then. Cheers.